Tribute, monsters, opponent's field. So Kurikara, Avatar of the Immovable, is a level 1 monster with a very impressive 1500 attack and defense stat, and it reads, cannot be normal summoned or set, must be special summoned from your hand by tributing all face-up monsters on the field that activated an effect in any of your opponent's monster zones this turn. You can only use the second effect of this card once per turn. So first effect is a continuous effect, gains 1500 attack for each monster tributed to special summon it, and during your end phase you can target one monster in your opponent's graveyard, special summon it to your field. So I think you guessed it already, but the summoning procedure is an inherent summon and not an activated effect, so your opponent cannot negate that. I mean, he can negate the summon with something like Solemn Strike or Evil Zor Lagia, I think that's the card, but the monsters would still be tributed. With that being said, you have to tribute monsters who actually activated their effects on your own turn, because it's not a quick effect, meaning that you would have to wait until your opponent actually triggers the effect of the monsters. Gaining 1500 attack is absolutely no joke though, because even just by tributing a single monster, you would have 3000 attack on this monster, meaning that you can jump over pretty much every negate in the game. As an added bonus, the final effect is actually really good because you can revive back any monster in your opponent's graveyard during each of your end phase, because it also does not have any cost, so you can generate constant advantage, and on top of that, it doesn't really have any drawbacks or side effects, so you can also revive back Link monsters, and also it doesn't negate the effect. So if you were able to get rid of something like Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss, you would be able to revive it back and then have an extra negate on top of everything else that you have. Now, of course, this card has flaws, and the most obvious is the fact that it is a reactive card. Because of how situational it is, it might not really be adapted to be in the main deck, but rather to be in the side deck when you are going second against combo decks very specifically, meaning that, again, it is a side deck option at best, or maybe a very dangerous one of main deck to play with cards like Small World or Rare of Thou, because it is searchable, so you might as well have the same logic as you had for something like Nibiru. Not to say that it really is similar to Nibiru, it definitely has some flaws in common, but at the same time, Nibiru has to be in your opening 5, and it is a hand trap, so it can stop your opponent on your opponent's turn, whereas this card is the kind of card that you can draw for turn, so you can draw into it or excavate it with Pot of Prosperity, granted the fact that your opponent actually used the effects of the monsters that you're trying to tribute. So, for example, if your opponent has a lot of very reactive negates, such as Wandering Griffin Rider and some other cards, well, by the time you get to kind of tribute them, it might be too late because they already used their effects to negate your cards. This means you might actually have to empty out your entire hand just to tribute monsters that already use their effects, meaning that it's not necessarily super practical because it doesn't really act like a card such as Dark Ruler, which is a single card that gets to negate multiple cards, and it doesn't really matter whether your opponent used the effects of some monsters already or not. But yeah, this makes it so if your hand is fragile, Karakuri or whatever, Kurikara is basically kind of useless, unfortunately. So yeah, this card is cool and has potential for sure, but we might actually have to wait until a format where it could shine a little brighter, because right now I think there are some better options, so it really depends on maybe which kind of decks can use effects on your standby phase. That's pretty much all I had to say for this card review. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.